हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल। और आज का जो हम टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है, जैसे लोकपाल है और लोकायत है। और मैंने अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन को 2 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करा है, तो ये पार्ट 1 है और पार्ट 2 हम कल करेंगे। Before that, Unacademy UPSC Championship 2.0 has already started, and we are providing you with free mock test series under UPSC CSE Drills 2020 to 21 Paper 1 JS. You will also get a chance to meet UPSC CSE 2019 toppers, top Unacademy educators, and subscription scholarship also. And it was conducted on 30th August, 6 September, 13 September, 20 September, and 27 September. As we know that our exams are scheduled for next month, so if you want to brush up some of your concepts or you want to clear your doubts, then you can do this under UPSC CSE 2020 with Unacademy. So this one subscription has like unlimited benefits, like you can learn from your home. You have unlimited access to all courses. Then you have top educators on one platform, full syllabus coverage, double doubt clearing session, live test series, study material will be provided in form of PDF format, and we have like proper answer writing session under our mentor and guidance. This is also a one-stop complete solution for every UPSC CSE preparation. We have our structured batches with top educators, batches in Hindi, English, bilingual, late night as well as 2-year batches, 100% syllabus coverage, vast range of optional prelims and main test series, dedicated double doubt clearing sessions. We have our daily current affair practice, essay and answer writing practice, performance analysis, as well as our interview preparation. So all these are like very important for every UPSC student. Now we have UPSC CSE complete batch courses has already started from 21st September 2020, and we have 4 batches right now over here. We have a bilingual batch in which the medium of instruction would be Hindi, English both, and we have Hindi batch in which the medium of instruction would be in Hindi, and then we have our UPSC CSE complete to 2021 batch that is complete in English, and we have our batch in English also, JS batch course, that is for 2020 to 2022. So if you are really interested and you feel in whichever batch you're comfortable, then you can enroll for that batch preparation course. Now we have like Ultimator Booster Prelims batch course, and this is a revision batch booster for prelims 2020 in bilingual and English, and you can enroll for free completely, and the duration is from 5 to 30th September, 5th to 30th September. And we have like free live classes from Monday to Friday, and along with that we have like sectional quizzes also. Now if you subscribe now, you will get 10% off. You just need to apply this code SIMPIYLYT. Then you just need to apply the simple code, and you just need to proceed for your payment. So this is like you will get 10% off, so you just need to apply fast. Then we have like a daily current affairs test CD practice, that is for daily 7:30 p.m. and we have 20 questions for 20 minutes, and it will consist of 40 marks along with the test analysis also. So the incorrect answers are in red and the correct answers are in green, and you will also get your percentile with the class and topper. So this will help you to see to know about your performance, and you can analyze your performance on daily basis also. So if you really like our channel, you can like, subscribe and share. You can join us on YouTube, Telegram and Facebook, and the link is given in bio, so you can just click on that link. Let's start. So first start with the global scenario of this Lokpal bill. So in every modern democratic state, as we know, it has been characterized by the welfare orientation, and therefore the government has to come into play an important role in socio-economic development of a nation. And this has also like resulted in the expansion of bureaucracy and multiplication of administrative process, which has like in turn increased the administrative power and discretion that has been enjoyed by all civil servants at different levels of government. Now the abuse of this power and discretion by civil servant, basically it opens up for the scope for harassment, malpractices, maladministrative, corruption, and every situation that give rise to citizens' grievances against the administration. Now the success of democracy and the realization of socio-economic development basically depends on the extent to which the citizens' grievances are readdressed by the administration. Now, the success of democracy and all the realization of socio-economic development, it depends on the extent to which the citizens' grievances are addressed, and therefore some of the institutional devices has been like created in different part of the world to readdress with all the grievances of citizens, like the ombudsman system, the administrative court system, the procurator system, and the earliest democratic institution was created in the world for the readdressal of citizen grievances was in Scandinavian institution of ombudsman. Now, the Donald also said that an international authority on ombudsman is basically a uniquely appropriate institution that deals with the average citizen's complaint about the unfair of administrative actions. And the institution of ombudsman was like first created in Sweden, so you can mark this point in 89. And the ombud is basically a Swedish term, and it refers to a person who acts as a representative or a spokesperson or a spokesman for another person. And according to Donald, we can also say that ombudsman basically refers to a particular officer that has been appointed by the legislature to handle all the complaint against the administrative and judicial action. Now, the Swedish ombudsman basically deals with the citizens' grievances in the following matter. First, the abuse of administrative discretion, that is the misuse of official power and authority. Second, the malpractice administration, that is the inefficiency in achieving the targets. Third, the administrative corruption, that is like demanding bribery for doing things. Fourth, nepotism, that is supporting one's own kith and kin in the matters of in providing employment to them. Then discourtesy, that is the misbehavior of various kinds for the instances of use of abusive power. Then we have the Swedish ombudsman that was appointed by the parliament for the term of next 4 years. He can also be removed only by the parliament on the ground of his loss and confidence in him, and he submits like his annual report to the parliament. Therefore, this is also known as the parliamentary ombudsman, and he is like independent of the parliament legislature as well as the executive and judiciary. So now the ombudsman is basically constitutional authority that enjoys the power basically to supervise the compliance of laws, regulation of the public officials, and to see that they discharge their duty properly. And in other words, he also keeps a watch over all the public officials, civil, judicial, military, and so that they can function impartially, objectively, and legally. That is with accordance to the law. However, we can also see that he has no power to reverse or squash a decision, and he has no direct control over administration or the courts. And the ombudsman can also like act either on the basis of complaint that has been received against the citizen to the unfair administrative action or suo moto, that is on his own initiative. He can also like persecute any hearing official, including the judges. However, he himself cannot inflict any punishment. He only reports the matter to the higher authorities for taking the necessary corrective action. Therefore, the characteristic of the Swedish institution of ombudsman are like follows. Like we can say about the independence of action from executive, impartial of objective, investigation of complaints, then suo motu power to share is to start investigation, uninterrupted access to all the files of administration, the right to report of parliament as opposed to the executive, and the institution of ombudsman is actually based on the doctrine of administrative accountability of legislature. Then the wide publicity that has been given to the working in the press and other media, the direct and simple, informal, cheap, and speedy method for handling the complaints from Sweden. The institution of ombudsman spread to the other Scandinavian countries like Finland, Denmark, Norway, etc. And the New Zealand, and it was the first commonwealth country in the world to adopt this ombudsman system in the form of its parliamentary commissioner for investigation in 1962. Now the United Kingdom basically like adopted this ombudsman like institution called the Parliamentary Commissioner for Administrative in 1967. Then after that, we can also see that the more than 40 countries of the world has actually adopted the ombudsman like institution with the different nomenclature and function. But the ombudsman in said that this institution of ombudsman is also a bulk work of the democratic government against the tyranny of official dog. While the Gerald A. Carrion also described the ombudsman as institutionalized public conscious, and another unique institutional device that has been created for the redressal of the citizen grievances are basically against the administrative authorities is the French system of administrative courts due to the success of France and the system of gradually to the spread that has been there to the European and African countries like the Belgium, Greece, and Turkey. Now, all the socialist country like former like USSR, we can now say Russia, China, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Romania has also like created this own institutional device for the redressal of citizen grievances. It is also known as procurator system in these countries, but it should also be noted here that the office of procurator general is still functioning in Russia and is appointed for a tenure of 7 years. Now let's talk about position in India. Basically, the existing legal and institutional framework to check the corruption and readdressal of citizens' grievances that consists of Public Service Inquiry in 1850, Indian Penal Code in 1860, Special Police Establishment in 1941, Delhi Police Establishment in 1946, Prevention of Corruption Act in 1988, Commissions to Inquiry Act against the political leaders and eminent public men, All India Services Conducted Rules in 1968, Central Civil Services Conduct Rules in 1964, Railway Services Conduct Rules in 1966, Vigilance Organization and Ministries Department that has been attached and subordinate office under public undertakings, and we have CBI in 1963, we have Central Vigilance Commission in 1964, then State Vigilance Commission 1964, Anti-Corruption Bureaus in state, Lokpal at centers, Lokayukt in state, the Division of Vigilance Board, District Vigilance Officer, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, National Commission for SCs, STs, Supreme Court, High Courts in state, administrative tribunals, the quasi-judicial bodies, Directorate of Public Grievances in the Public Secretary in 1988, Parliament and its committee, File to Field program in some states in like Kerala in its innovative scheme, and the administrator goes to the village area and hears the public grievances and takes immediate action wherever possible. Now let's talk about this Lokpal. So this Lokpal bill, as we know, was introduced in 2011, and the Administrative Reform Commission of India in 1966 to 1970 recommended the setting of two special authorities that are designated as the Lokpal and Lokayak for all the redressal of citizens' grievances, and these institutions were basically set up on the pattern of institution of ombudsman in like Scandinavian countries and the parliamentary commissioner for investigation like in New Zealand. Now the Lokpal basically deals with all the complaints against the ministers, secretaries at the central and state levels. The Lokayukt, one at the center and one in the state, would actually deal with complaint against the specific higher official. The Administrative Reform Commission also kept the judiciary outside the purview of Lokpal and Lokayak as in New Zealand, but in Sweden the judiciary is within the purview of Ombudsman. But according to the ARC, the Lokpal bill basically would appoint by the president after the consultation of the CGI, like the Chief Justice of India, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, and the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Now the ARC has also like recommended that the institution of Lokpal Lokayuk should have like following features. First, they should be demonstratively independent and impartial. Second, their investigation and proceedings should be conducted in private and should be informal in character. Third, their appointment should be as far as possible non-political. Their status should be compared with the highest judicial functionaries in country. They should deal with the matters of discretion field involving the acts of injustice, corruption, or favoritism. Their proceedings should not be the subject of judicial interference. They should not have the maximum latitude and powers of obtaining information relevant to their duties. They should not look into forward in any benefit or advantage from any executive government. Then the government of India has also accepted that the recommendation that are made by ARC in this regard are like, so far there are 10 official agreements had been made to bring about the legislation change in this subject. That bills have been introduced in the parliament. First, in the May 1968, the Congress government that was headed by Indira Gandhi. Second, in April 1971, again by the Congress government headed by Indira Gandhi. Then in July 1977, Janata government headed by Morarji Desai. August 1985, the Congress government headed by Rajiv Gandhi. Then in December 1989, National Front government under VP Singh. We have National United government under Dev Gowda. Then we have BJP-led coalition under Vajpayee. Then in August 2001, we have the NDA government, that is by the Vajpayee. Then we have in August 2011, we have under UPA government that was headed by Manmohan Singh. And finally, in the December 2011, under the UPA that was headed by Manmohan Singh, the first four bill lapsed due to the dissolution of Lok Sabha, while the fifth was withdrawn by the government. And the sixth and the seventh bills were lapsed due to dissolution of 11th and 12th Lok Sabha. Again, the eighth bill was also lapsed due to the dissolution of 13th Lok Sabha in 2004. And the ninth bill in 2011 was withdrawn by the government itself. Now let's talk about the Lokpal and Lokayats Act in 2013, about the background. First, basically, in order to like meet with the all a long-standing demand that was established by the mechanism for dealing with the complaints on corruption, like against the certain functionaries, including the corruption at high places. Now the government was also like constituted by a joint drafting committee in on 8/4/2011, that was consisted of five nominees of Minister of Government of India and the five nominees of Sri Anna Hazare, including Sri Anna Hazare himself, to prepare a draft on the Lokpal bill. Now, it was based on all the deliberations of the committee and on the basis of inputs from the chief ministers of states, political parties. A draft was made under the Lokpal bill that was prepared, and then the cabinet at the meeting on 28/7/2011 considered the draft of Lokpal bill in 2011. Upon the approval of the cabinet, and the Lokpal bill of 2011 was basically introduced in Lok Sabha on 4/8/2011. And then the bill said then the bill was like referred to the department that was relating to the parliamentary standing committee personal and public grievances of law and justice on 8th August 2011 for examination and report. Now, the department that was related to the Parliamentary Standing Committee, after the extensive discussion with all the stakeholders, in its 48th report made a number of recommendations by suggesting a major amendments in the bill, both as regards to the scope and content of the bill, that including the necessary provisions that has been made in the bill under the legislation for establishment of Lokayuks in the state, as to provide a very leverage to all the states wherein there is no institution exists, and to bring in uniformity in the laws relating to the state lokayuks, which are already existing in a number of states. And the committee also like recommended that the lokpal and the lokayuks are need to be conferred constitutionally status. And upon all these considerations, the recommendation of standing committee and the government withdrew its Lokpal bill in 2011 that was pending in the Lok Sabha, and it introduced a new comprehensive Lokpal bill, or known as the Lokayuks bill in 2011 in the Lok Sabha on 22/12/2011, to establish the institution of Lokpal at the center and Lokayuk at the level of states. Also, keeping in mind all the recommendation of the standing commission, that the Lokpal and the Lokayuks were made as the constitutional bodies, and the government also like introduced the constitution of 116 amendment bill in 2011 to provide for the constitutional status to these bodies. Now, these bills are basically like taken up for all the consideration by Lok Sabha and on 27/12/2011, and the Lokpal or the Lokayat bill in 2011 were passed by certain amendments, wherein basically the constitution of 116th amendment bill in 2011 could not be passed with the requisite majority. So the Lokpal and the Lokayats Bill in 2011 was taken up for the discussion and passing in the Rajya Sabha on 29/12/2011, and the discussion that remained inclusive. Subsequently, the Rajya Sabha tried to adopted a motion of 21st Feb 2012 and referred the bill to select the committee of Rajya Sabha for the examination and report. Now the select committee on Rajya Sabha basically like submitted its report to the Rajya Sabha on 23rd/11/2012, and these recommendations were on the select committee were examined a proposal for moving all the official amendments to the bill that has been reported by the select committee was considered and approved by the cabinet in its meeting on 31st January 2013. So this bill was like finally passed by Rajya Sabha with amendments on 17/12/2013, and the Lok Sabha has also like agreed to the amendments that has been made by the Rajya Sabha on 18/12/2013. So this bill was like then passed on to the both houses and has received the assent of the president on 1st January 2014. So this bill was like brought into force by effect on 16 January 2014. Now, what are the features of this bill? First, that it seeks to like establish the institution of Lokpal at the center and Lokayak at the state level, and it actually tries to provide a uniform vigilance of anti-corruption roadmap for the nation, both at the center and the state. The jurisdiction of Lokpal includes the prime ministers, members of parliament, group ABCD officers. Now, the official of the central government also, and the Lokpal consists of chairperson with maximum of 8 members, of which the 50% shall be judicial members, and the 50% members of Lokpal bill shall come from SCs, OBCs, and minority and women. Now, the selection of chairperson of the member of Lokpal shall be through the selection committee consisting of Prime Minister, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, opposition leader, Chief Justice, or the sitting of Supreme Court judge that has been nominated by CGI of India, and eminent jurists to be nominated by the President of India on the basis of recommendation made by the first 4 members of the selection committee. A search committee will also like assist the selection committee in the process of selection. 50% of members of search committee would be amongst SCs, STs, OBCs, minority and women. And then the Prime Minister has also like brought under the purview of the Lokpal bill and the subject matter of exclusion, and the specific for handling the complaints against the Prime Minister. And the Lokpal's jurisdiction will also cover all the categories on public servants, including Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group C officer, and the employees on government, and all the complaints that have been referred to CBC by the Lokpal. And then the report is submitted to the preliminary inquiry in respect to Group A and Group B officers back to Lokpal for the further decision, and with the respect to its categories of employees from Group C and Group D, the CBC will actually proceed the further with in the exercise of its power under the CBC Act, subject to reporting and a review by the Lokpal. Now, the Lokpal will also have the power of superintendence and direction of over the any investigating agency, including the CBI for the cases that has been referred to them by the Lokpal. A high-powered committee like that has been chaired by the Prime Minister will also be like recommend on the selection directorate of CBI. It now incorporates the provision for attachment, confiscation of public property of servant acquired by corrupt means, even while the prosecution is pending. So it properly laid down the timeline for preliminary inquiry for the first 3 months, extendable by the 3 months, and then for investigation it's a 6 month extended to 6 months at a time. For the trial, 1 year extendable. It actually enhances the maximum punishment under the Prevention Corruption Act for 7 years to 10 years, and the maximum punishment is under the section 7, 8, 9, and 12 for Prevention of Corruption Act. Now for 3 years. Now the institution which were financed fully and partly by government are under jurisdiction of Lokpal, and the institution aided by government are excluded. It provides an adequate protection for the honest, upright public servants. The Lokpal has been conferred with the power to grant sanction for persecution of public servants in the place of government and competent authority. It contains a certain provision that has been aimed at strengthening CBI, like setting up directorate prosecution, headed by directorate persecution, overall control of CBI, appointment, then maintenance of panel, then transfer of officer, then provision for adequate fund to CPM. Now, all the entities that are receiving donation from foreign sources in the context of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, then it contains a mandate for setting up the institution of Lokayuk that has been enacted of a law by the state legislature within the period of 365 days from the date of commencement of the act, and then the act provides the freedom of states to decide upon the various contours of the Lokayuk mechanism in respective states. Now, there are some of the drawbacks of Lokpal and Lokayats. First, the Lokpal cannot sue or proceed against any public servant. It emphasizes on the complaint rather than substance. Heavy punishment for faults and all the complaints that we make against any public servant. Then, anonymous complaints are not allowed. Then, there is legal assistance provided to public servants against whom the complaint is filed. The limitation period is 7 years to file complaint. Very non-transparent procedure in dealing with the complaint that is against PM. So we have discussed about the drawbacks of Lokpal. So we have covered everything in Lokpal or Lokpal bill. So if you really like my video, you can like, subscribe and share.